literally, if anyone, hits your line and is like, this is cool, you get this feeling of like, I did something right. It helps because music is definitely an outlet for me to vocalize like how I feel as like other, insecure, emotional. I don't think there's any other way I could vocalize my experience than like with some form of art, whether it's like poetry, writing, music. Music for me is like a way to communicate with others on a level that I don't have complete access to.
Hold my hand, feel my love.
Hi, I'm Michael Seyer, and you're listening to Makings of an Artist.
It's all just love, no such thing as true love.
Welcome back to everyone to the Makings of an Artist podcast. My name is Sebastian Cowsill, and today we have with us the amazing young artist, Michael Seyer. Man, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, man, of course. Now, looking at your beginnings, I know you credit your father for getting you into the music world, putting that guitar in your hands at 10 years old. But who or what do you credit for wanting to turn that hobby into a potential career?
I'm not really sure. There wasn't really an outright moment or person that that made me want to make this into a career. I've just been doing it for so long that it just kind of spiraled into what I do for a living, like I'm not really interested in anything else. Music is really all I do, and it's all I really do good. So I just doing that and released it and let the world kind of just sift through it. And I was fortunate enough for people or a community to gravitate to it or latch onto it, and I just ended up being like, oh, this is what I'm doing, and I have no regrets. I have no other way that I think I could live my life. So that's super cool.
Mm-hmm. And for those who don't know, before there was Michael Seyer, there was Chief Endo. Was this the
Geez.
was this the first big step that you took in working towards that potential career, even though it wasn't something you stuck with? Was this the first time you just released something in general to the public?
Yeah. So for people that don't know, I used to be in like a hip hop group with my friends in high school, and yeah, that was like we had like a little rap group, and I made beats mostly, and I would rap too. Not very good, and it's definitely like that music you made when you're young, and it's not the best work that I've done, but it was super important for me to to start off like with my friends, kind of just learn like the basics and being around like all my friends, because it was like we're trying to do like a group. It had like almost like 10 people or something, and they kind of like were the ones that they were recording, so I would just watch them and kind of like just check out the gear that they had and see like, oh, how does recording really work? And I would just like buy the same gear and just kind of copy that. And I learned how to record from there. And just like with hip hop and beat making in general, I feel like I took a lot of I took a lot of insight from that, because fundamentally it's like super structural, and it really equipped me with some good tools to start off like with songwriting. So I feel like that was a really important building block on like every other music that I've tried to make.
Mm-hmm. Even though it was short-lived, what did those first initial releases feel like? Having something go from private hard drive stuff to the public for the first time?
It was cool in the sense that, like, when you put it out, um, just literally anyone. It could be your fucking family, it could be your friend, it could be just some random person. If anyone listens to it, especially when you're a young musician and you haven't released anything at all. Literally, if anyone, hits your line and is like, "This is cool," you get this feeling of like, I did something right.
Mhm.
And I think the first thing I ever released was like a beat tape, and for some reason, because I used to just be on slash mu. I don't know if you know that. It's like a 4chan music forum.
Mm-mm.
So I would just like SoundCloud and Bandcamp share, and yeah. So my first beat tape, I would constantly put it on forums and Mu, because I was like a young and hungry musician,
Mhm.
and for some reason, like a bunch of like a small like French group like really liked it, and I started getting in touch with like just people from SoundCloud that were like French hip hop speakers, and we would just exchange beats and just talk music. And the first few things that came from that, like seeing other people from different places, giving me feedback on my music, or even listening to it, was super cool. So I think that was cool, and it definitely made me realize I had that bug to like make something and have people to like it.
Mhm. I know too, like you said, like being in that group really helped develop as an artist, and you like to surround yourself with creatives, being in the rap group in high school and stuff. And I know you're sending each other beats, like you said. We fast forwarded to today, and I know you've even kept some of those guys around today in your tour band and whatnot. What does that kind of closeness mean to you, and how does it affect your creativity and creative process?
Hmm, I'm not really sure. We sort of just stuck around with each other. I mean, the main people that stuck around with me were my brother, who was also in the rap group, and I can't trade my brother. He's not going anywhere. Um, and my drummer Antonio, who was also in the rap group, and um, I think more or less we just stuck together because, and this applies for everyone else that isn't present in my band, but we all had a love for music, and we wanted to make music, and no matter what kind of shape it takes, we want to be involved in music. That's we're musicians. We can't run away from being what we are. So that's what we wanted to do. um I'm not sure if it more or less fit with my own creative process, because I usually write on my own, but it does help with a lot of my music, because my drummer Antonio, he does my art direction and all that, and because I'm completely clueless when it comes to visual shit. So
Right. I know this Chief Endo stuff and the rap group was all during high school, and I know you've said that you're an introverted person and that throughout high school and all levels of schooling, you felt like you really didn't quite fit in. When was it though that you felt confident enough in yourself and in your craft to, instead of releasing under an alias, release under your own name for people to see? And how come?
well, I don't even know if I'm at that level yet right now. I mean, what I release, my real name's not Michael Sayer.
Hmm.
I don't know if it makes much of a difference, because I feel like Michael Sayer. But definitely after my first release, back in like 2015, like my first Michael Sayer release, I did feel like somewhat better about like myself in a way where it's like, oh, if I release music, like, will people like it? But I think that'll never go away, because sharing music is such a vulnerable and intimate space.
Hmm.
Um, I don't think I could ever wash that feeling away, and I don't think I'd want it to go away. But it helps, because music is definitely an outlet for me to to vocalize like how I feel as like other, insecure, emotional. So I think it works mutually in that respect.
Is that how you cope with it? Is just by kind of writing about it or letting it out like that?
Yeah, yeah. There's not. I mean, I don't think there's any other way I could vocalize my experience than like with some form of art. You know, whether it's like poetry, writing, music. Um, Music for me is like a way to communicate with others on a level that I don't have complete access to.
Hmm. And once you started releasing under your Michael Sayer stuff, the first was Ugly Boy, and you got a lot of positive reception from it, and was being published about it, receiving emails from all sorts of people because of how good it was. How did it feel getting that level of recognition at the time?
Well, it's definitely it felt really great. I literally had no expectations whatsoever. I was like going to community college, and then I was working a job and trying to be a musician at the same time, and like trying to balance all of that was like really taking a toll on me mentally. And especially, like thinking that like you're absolutely failing in like a lot of respects in some of those lanes.
Hmm.
And then one day I got like really fed up, and I was like, I have no time whatsoever to like nurture music or school. And I took the decision to like just quit my job. And then I spent like a good portion of time trying to finish that album. Not because like I had this expectation like or this plan where I was like, okay, I'm gonna release this album and like things are gonna be good. I purely wanted to do it because it was something that kept me sane, and I just thought it was really important to do it, like to sit down and like say I finished this project on my own, and that's an achievement in itself. And then yeah, I had no expectations. I put it out, and it wasn't like an overnight thing. It was definitely gradual, but
Hmm.
little by little I saw that there was like something there at least, or someone, some person or a group of people could gravitate towards it, and then that really made me feel good. But I really didn't have any expectations for it whatsoever, and now I'm here.
Hmm. Initially releasing it and stuff too, battling those insecurities at the time and feeling like you're failing at the time and to today. Do you ever feel like you have to push yourself out of the way to kind of get those ideas out, if you know what I mean?
I don't. Could you elaborate?
I just mean, do you ever feel like those you have to get out of your own head and just release it? Do you ever have a personal issue with, oh, like I feel too insecure about this song, or it's too vulnerable, or it's too much? You know what I mean?
I mean, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the uphill battle of songwriting is, or just any making of art is, you're always going to be your own steamroller, and you're always going to be the perfectionist. But at some point, and of course, you have to balance or cope that, because on one level, you do have to be a perfectionist. You do have to like take a moment and say, what how this could this song benefit in what way? Like, are these lyrics too intense? Is something off in the instrumentals or whatever? You have to like exchange that idea for a bit for something else better. But at the same time, you can't be overly demanding and be like, oh, I'm not going to release this until it's perfect. So there has to be a good middle ground with your own steamroller, and taking the time to do the things that the song deserves. Um, but at a certain point, whenever you reach that middle ground, you know you're still gonna have that feeling of
Mhm.
insecurity for the song, or what it means to put it out, how vulnerable it is. Middle ground is being happy despite all of that. So that's how I put that.
Mhm. I wanted to ask too, do you still play the balancing act of music and school and stuff, or have you graduated yet?
No, I graduated, so thankfully not, because that shit It's tough, man. Like, I'm glad I'm out of it, and I'm glad I got out of it fast because, you know, there, this is exactly what I want to do, and I love school so much. If it's for you, it's not for everyone, but if school is for you, and you want to be a musician, I think you could do it. I don't really believe in that whole like, oh, you got to pour everything into one thing, and go hard in that. And I do believe that in one respect, but I think every situation is like nuanced and complex in its own right. And if you truly feel like you want to go to school and be a musician, more power to you. If you want to do it just as a musician, just fucking do it. Do whatever you want to do is what I think. But I wouldn't want that right now because um, this is what I want to do, like be a musician.
Hmm. How did you personally manage both, and how would you recommend other artists manage both?
Oh, I don't know, man. Uh, yeah, it's different for everyone.
Yeah.
I like, yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. It's just a lot of time management. You have to set time for being a student. You have to set time for being a musician. You gotta cheat a lot in school. That's what I.
I feel you. Now, just a couple questions left, and then we'll let you go, man. The first is, you kind of went over it, but in general, what advice would you give to any artist trying to make it today?
That's a tough one. I don't know if I'm in the department to give advice to anyone. I think we're all still figuring it out. But if I were to give any advice to someone, I think it'd just be go for it. Like despite however you feel, or art is worth it. Like to put out something that you worked hard on that like showcases your experience, like it's completely worth it. And it's worth the effort. All things are effort. You should always just try, and even if it doesn't work out the first time, just keep trying, just keep doing it. You're going to keep doing it despite everything, because that's what, if you truly love it, you'll always do it.
Hmm. I love that. My second question is, though, for you, man, what's next for you? What can we look forward to when the world is back in one piece again?
I don't know, man. Right now I'm just recording, writing a lot. Um, Hopefully after all of this is done, I'll already have the next project. I don't really know, because every time I record and just write, um, things kind of take a life of their own, and I'm just kind of like taking the back seat to see where it goes, more or less. But hopefully, when the world has repaired, I'll have like a project, and we could tour it.
Beautiful. Very exciting. I know whatever's coming next, man, it's going to sound great, and everybody looking forward to it, including myself. But thank you for taking the time to be on the show, man. It does mean a lot to me.
Again,
If people want to find you online, where can they go?
uh, I'm everywhere. Just you could look at. I'm on Spotify. You could listen if you want. If you don't have to, but yeah, I'll just look it up, Michael Seyer.
All right. Well, everyone go check him out wherever you want to, and go stream all of his amazing work on whatever you have. And again, man, thank you for spending some time with me. It does mean a lot. I hope you have a good one.
You too, Sebastian. Thanks for having me.
Of course. See you, man.
Later.
Thanks again to Michael Seyer for taking the time to be on the show. The guy makes amazing music, so definitely look him up wherever you can and check him out if you like what you hear. As always, though, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, check us out on social media, and if you like the perks like monthly bonus episodes, custom playlists, and more, become a member of our Patreon at patreon.com/MOAA. Thank you guys for tuning in, though, and we'll see you in the next episode.